Okay, here's a quick tour of the greenhouse really quick, just to give everybody a better idea of how it works and what the physics are behind it all. We are looking at the southwest corner right here. Mountains on the side over here. The sun's just about to come up. It's about 8:30 in the morning right now. Temperature out here is about 6 degrees or so. We'll see a little better as soon as we get in. Okay, so this glazing right here is called Sola wrap, S-O-L-A wrap. Comes out of England. It looks like great big bubble wrap, and it sits in these really nice tracks. It's really quite simple and easy to put in, much faster to install than a lot of the other types of glazing. Really tough. R value of about 1.7, which is similar to a window. I really like it. In fact, I've been buying it for some of my friends who are also installing some. I've been helping them order it and get it shipped here. It comes from England. It takes a long time to get here. We don't have the bottom of it trimmed up yet. We have some custom bent metal that will be going against the bottom, and that's not installed yet either, but it's pretty close. We put polycarbonate on this side just because I wanted a different look, and the polycarbonate is a terrible insulator. It's only a 1/4-inch polycarb, and so we're trying to do it on both inside and outside of that wall, and the inside of this wall has not been done yet, but we do have the outside. And coming around to the door. The door just got hung the other day. The upper door will swing inward so that I can use it as a vent in the summertime, but also be able to open both doors and have a nice big tall 11-foot opening so that I can bring my trees in and out in the spring and fall. The door does not have, you can see right there, I don't have the jambs finished yet. So anyway, we're still working on things. We're trying to button it up as fast as we can. You'll notice that the battens are lighter colored, and that's simply because the enzyme that we spray on them has not had a lot of time to take its effect yet. So as the sun hits them, they darken up over time. This over here is my chicken coop. You can see that all the battens on that have all darkened up, and it looks pretty good. So this will be the same. Okay, so coming in, it's cold out here. Coming inside the greenhouse, we've got this little ramp temporarily built right here. Off to this side, we have the SCW law of geometry, which means every flat surface will become a pyramid. And we're trying really hard to make every flat surface a pyramid. So that's a concrete bench we have there, and it's dyed and stamped, and it's really nice. I'm really gonna like it. It's gonna be a really handy workbench. This cord hanging in front of me is for the misting system that we used a little bit this summer. As you can see, the inside of the wall is not skinned with the polycarbonate yet. This wall is not finished being insulated or sealed off. Still have a plug down there that's showing a lot of air gaps. Obviously up there is a huge air gap, but we're getting close. I do have a motorized fan that I bought for that space up there, and also I have a window that we custom ordered that's not even going to be in for another several weeks, so by the time it gets here we won't need it probably. Well, I'll need it next summer, but so this grow bed here is made out of the gabion basket. That pipe that you see back there, that's how we fill the water underneath the grow bed. So this entire grow bed is sub-irrigated, meaning it has water storage underneath it and sand over the top of these perforated water pipes, and then the soil on top of that, and the soil through capillary action soaks up the water and waters all the plants from underneath, and you don't have any surface water, so I won't deal with the humidity or the mold issues or weeds even being able to sprout on top. So should be a huge savings. I read some studies from some other greenhouses in Europe, and they've had phenomenal results with this kind of a growing system. These are just some pretty flowers that a friend of mine brought over. He runs a nursery and hated to see them die, so he brought them over here, and we've got them all in here for the winter. The trusses I designed, they're all out of aluminum. 2 by 2 by 1/4 inch box here, and then just 1 by 1 by 1/8 inch angle for the lacing. And we designed it so that I could hang a bunch of baskets. I don't remember the exact weight, but I designed, I think, 40 pounds per linear foot on the lacing itself. That doesn't actually probably work very well because the screws that we use to put them in, they have a tendency to gall against the aluminum and shear. So in reality, there's a limit just based on the type of screws I used. You can see some of these insulation things hanging and shredded a little bit. We just haven't finished buttoning it all up, and you know, priorities. We got to get ready for cold weather, and that'll wait. So it's waiting. This back wall right here got really dark, you know, just because it's in the shade through the summertime. So we put that reflective up there over some plywood, and then we will trim it out so that it'll look a little better. By the time we're all done, it'll have some trim similar to the black trim across the front of these walls here. Now for Black Fox, I wanted to specifically call out some of this stuff. This vent that you see right here, and there's another vent as we come down here. Well, we can see it clear over there in the corner behind the ladder. And then there's another one behind some of these flowers here. Those vents connect to 4-inch and 6-inch PVC, or not PVC, but drain line that go all throughout the yard outside. So I've got about 600 feet of that air line dug down into the ground, about 4 feet into the ground. And like I said, about 600 feet of it. And more so than just that stuff out in the front, if we spin this way, that's the one door to the fodder room, and then you can see some of these air vents up here. And there are also, sorry for the mess, there you see that air vent down there, right up here. And down inside, we have some other air vents. So coming into the back room here, there's my growing pyramid. And this air vent down here, that's a 12-inch air vent. And the end of that one, it goes all the way down underneath the footing, wraps all the way around the building this direction, and then comes back up. And these air vents over here, they go out about 30 feet each into the fresh air. And then, as you can see, we have these air vents up here that carry it off. So the idea is, where the scaffolding is sitting, we haven't gotten to it yet, and I'm hoping to 3 weeks ago. We'll see if that happens. Cupola will go up on top there. It'll be a nice cupola with some windows in there and a little weather vane on top with a chicken, you know, all that stuff. And that cupola will actually be a thermal chimney. So as it draws, we keep the entire greenhouse buttoned up tight year round. And in order to exchange the air, this will draw all that air out of there and suck it up into the greenhouse underground through these pipes at the bottom. So we have a constant air exchange, especially in this room back here, because it'll be so high density with fodder sprouts for the chickens, turkeys, and cows. So it consumes a tremendous amount of carbon back in these fodder rooms. This is the 5th fodder room I've done, and our limit to growth is always how much carbon you can give it in the air. Temperature is easy. They're a little more resilient on temperature. They are not resilient at all on carbon, so it becomes a real limit. So as we get that cupola in there, even in the wintertime, we'll be able to exchange the air and draw the air from underground and warm that a little bit in the wintertime and cool that in the summertime. And of course, because I live at 6,500 feet, all of those pipes are buried down in, but they also stub up out of the ground about 4 feet so that they don't get covered in snow. And then these, as you see right here, these are some other grow beds that are not set up. And we could set some of them up now. We just pulled one of the scaffolding down the other day, Saturday. So there is a little bit of room. We could start to set these up, and we may do that pretty soon. Been kind of waiting until all the scaffold is out of here before I set up the grow beds through the center. Let's check our temperature. This is about as cold as we're going to get today. The sun is just starting to come up, and then we'll start getting some energy. This is the only heater I've had going in here so far. I turned it on about 6:30 or so last night. Okay, so we're 5 degrees outside. That's 5 degrees outside, 80% humidity outside, 4.5 mile-an-hour winds, and we've been able to hold 36 degrees. So we're not doing too bad. I really need to plug up a few gaps in that end wall down there, and I think we'll do a lot better. But on the whole, I'm pretty happy with it. This is my key lime tree. This is my favorite tree so far, simply because it's growing so well. All of these have grown since I received the tree, and you can see as we come up here, just a huge amount of new growth. And as it, I need to start training this tree right away, and I got these sticks over here in order to do that, and we're going to do an espalier style on that. That's an avocado back there that's doing extremely well. Another avocado over here that's doing fairly well. The avocado in there died. And my avocado over here, I think it's a goner too, and I'm not sure what I'm doing to these avocados, but I've got 50% kill rate. That's another lemon right there. I've got 3 Meyer lemons, a blood orange. The big tall one right there is the blood orange. This is a cinnamon right here with the orange tag. It's doing very well too. You can see some nice new growth on that. And I've only had it for about 2 weeks as well. That's a raspberry down at the bottom. It died back pretty badly, but it's starting to come back, so giving it some time. Got some pomegranate back in there. Some olives all the way back there by that board. Looks like one of the olives fell over. So that's all the way back in there by that blue board. It's a moringa up front here in the Homer bucket. Some onions over here just to get them out of the cold. It's a Meyer lemon, the little one next to the dead one. I don't think it's dead. That's a miracle, or a honeyberry in the bigger pot, but I think it's just died back for the winter. And that's a Meyer lemon in the little pot on top of it, and that Meyer lemon is from a cutting from my grandfather's tree in Los Angeles, and that tree was planted in 1955. Meyer lemon was developed in the 1930s, so that's a pretty original Meyer lemon. Here's the banana hammock. It's not working great. We've got a little too many gaps here and there, so I think we'll try to sort those out. This is papaya. Seems to be doing pretty well. This is some tomatoes that my friend that gave me those other ornamental flowers, he gave me all of these too, and they were all just about dead, and they're coming back very nicely right now and putting on a bit of fruit. And I need to get them staked up and trimmed and cut a bunch of this growth off of there just so I can get a good production on the fruit instead of just vines. And these were all nearly dead, like the ones you see in the trays back here, and we stuck them in here and they've done extremely well. Looks like they did get a little bit cold last night, a little wilted up, but sorry, I'm a crappy videographer here. So it looks like these bananas, they've done pretty well. Now the bananas, when we got them, they've just always looked like they're going downhill, and never really bounced out of it. But as soon as I put them into this bed, they've started sending up these shoots, and the shoots have been just, as it's been nice and warm, the shoots are growing 2 or 3 inches a day. And I'm really impressed with that. So I feel good about the bananas now. I think they're going to do all right. It's a little too cold in here for them right now. This 35, 36 degrees or so is probably a little too cold. But today we'll have a lot of sun, and it should warm it all up. And by the time we get our next cold snap, I'll be a little better prepared for it. This bed is also sub-irrigated. Not only is it sub-irrigated, you can see right here in this corner, that's the pipe that this one in the corner here, and there's another pipe in the back corner over there, and then I have a fill line. I don't remember where the fill line is. I thought it was right here. I think maybe it's under this rubber over here. I hope we didn't put a bunch of dirt on it. But that's the fill line. I've got about 200 feet of 6-inch drain line down underneath the bed here, with then the sand packed over the top of that, and then about 2.5 feet of the soil, this good planter mix here. There's a really sandy planter mix with some turkey mulch. As you can see it right here, this has been sitting here for about 6 weeks or so, and I can just dive my hand right into it. It's very soft. It's a very loose soil. Should have worked very well. In fact, it has been for these plants here. You can see how well they're doing. So we have several hundred gallons of storage under this bed as well as under this bed. The beds are in poor shape still until we get the rest of that membrane. You see how the membrane's all staked up with the aluminum down there. We need to get that done everywhere, and I've been holding off on planting any of my cold weather crops until I get that done, just because I don't want to deal with having to work around the plants or anything. So once we get the rest of that rubber membrane staked up and looking good, I'll start putting some cold weather crops in this bed here. So the geothermal is pretty important to me. This side out here, the soil outside comes right to the top of the concrete here. And then on the back wall here, the soil comes all the way up right about to the top of the trusses there. And then as we walked into that room, the room has the metal decking for the ceiling, and then there's 3 inches of foam on top of the metal decking, and then 2 feet of dirt on top of that. So that puts the soil right up to about the top of those trusses. So we've got a lot of thermal mass there. Seems to be holding pretty well. Obviously, with just this tiny little heater right here, we've been able to hold 35 degrees in here, and I'm sure most of that heat's just going all the way up to the peak. I would like to get a couple of fans up there, but I didn't budget the power, so I'm gonna have to figure something out, because I do think I'm gonna need to stir the air on cold nights like this and keep that warm air pushed down. But I guess if I'm using the fans, I won't be using the lights, so it probably will work out okay. I have 15 amps available on the front half and 15 amps on the back half. And the back half will be a lot of sprouting and not a lot of power consumption. We'll put some lights down through the middle here. On the right side will be the fodder sprouting. The left side will just be seedling sprouting, and I call that the wet bench. On the end here, it's just a suspended concrete bench that will polish all up and seal it off and make it look all nice and pretty, and then have some shelves above it, and this is where I'll do a lot of the planting and just working on stuff. So we'll have a little bit of power here and a little bit of lights, some timers, some timers for the watering system and stuff, and then I've got these grow lights. I put it in. I've got a dead plug here on my electrical, and I'm not sure why, but I was testing it last night to see if it was the plug or something else, and sure enough, it's the plug. But these are the grow lights that I've got. They're called Spider Farmer. They're really impressive. Put out a lot of light. You can adjust the intensity. They put out just the right spectrums, wavelengths. You want reds and blues, and these are really dominant in reds and blues. Don't put out a lot of the useless green. So anyway, that's going to go back inside of the fodder room there and act as one of the sprouting lights. Fodder doesn't need any light, but the sprouting will for when I'm sprouting a lot of these trees and plants and stuff. One other thing I have, you couldn't see it behind the bananas there, but I have some air lines that go all the way underground. And coming back over here, you can see that air line mixed in with the dripping garden hose there. That air line actually follows, comes through here and follows all the way along the bottom and stubs up that wall. And then there's another one on this side that does the same thing. It comes all the way along the bottom of the greenhouse. And they're intended to come up and then be connected to a pipe that goes to the peak. And I can put a fan in there, suck some of that hot air off of the peak, and just charge this big bank under the ground with some of that hot air. And then the excess hot air I can just blow right back into the fodder room. The fodder has to stay 70 degrees. Otherwise it stunts the fodder pretty badly. So as we get the hot water system in here and some of the rest of the finer details, that back room will stay 70 degrees year round. and I can charge that with a little bit of hot air. Mostly it'll be using hot water, and then that hot water will also be used to heat some of these beds. So that's the summary of the, and it's just starting to get light. First rays of light for the day. So let's take one last look at the temperature here. See how we did. There we go. 6 degrees outside, 37.8 inside. We did all right. 5-mile-an-hour wind. I'm pretty happy. Thank you very much.